Three things about this week. It is going to awaken our appetite for justice, and it is going to spur us into action to figure out what fairness could be. Number two, it is going to rally our sense of the collective. Who are the people that we gather with? What do we want to do with them? And how do we galvanize change together? Number three, it's also going to boost our confidence. Hello and welcome. This is the Astrology of the Week Ahead podcast. I'm your host, your astro bestie, Chani Nicholas. In this episode, we are talking about the week of October 13th. But before we get into all of that, y'all, I'm really excited to announce that I'm starting my own book club. It's called The Next Chapter. It is with a queer-owned business and book marketplace called All Stora. And when you join, every month, you'll get a book picked out by yours truly, and you'll also be given access to a community space where we can all come together and talk about how this author is handling a certain subject or how it's starting to help us to see life in a different way. My hope is that the books we choose and read together will become a blueprint for a better world, for another way of seeing the world and seeing ourselves as we struggle through and grapple with and celebrate the beauty and the difficulties of life. Head to allstora.com to register. I cannot wait to begin reading with you. Okay, this is the deal. Pluto stations direct on Monday. Normally, I wouldn't pull focus so much towards that, but we are in unprecedented times and they feel so heavily Pluto in Aquarius. And this is why. As I've said a million times before, as I'm sure you've heard a million times before, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, we had the Haitian Revolution, the French Revolution, and the American Revolution. We also were in the Industrial Revolution. It was a very revolutionary time. Now, I'm not here to romanticize revolutions in terms of the actual human impact, the toll it actually takes, the kind of lives lost it requires. I am not here to romanticize any of that. Do I feel like we are in the midst of a major social upheaval? Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? That is a very, I think, standard opinion, no matter what your political take is on the world. We know that we're in the midst of great change and upheaval. And Pluto in Aquarius is very much about that. It is a transformation. Pluto is very transformative, or it marks a transformation of something. And because it's in Aquarius, the sign of the people, it is transforming how we, the people, see ourselves and how we, the people, are, where we fall in the social order of things. Because, of course, those revolutions that I'm talking about were about the people in different ways uprising to regain or reestablish some sort of equilibrium, especially if we think about the ways in which fortunes had been amassed, power had been amassed, and therefore it led people to tap into their collective power and come back. So I want us to think, of course, about how the powers that be right now are in major moments of overreach and what that overreach then does in equal and opposite fashion, how it then demands that we come together and that there is a groundswell of people. Now, the other piece of this is that because there was an industrial revolution the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, and Aquarius is often linked to things like technology, definitely in terms of how we all interact and how we communicate and how we come together, right? It is a humane sign. It's a sign about people. And so we know that we are in the midst of a technological revolution as well. It is the next industrial revolution. It is, who knows where we're going with it all, But certainly it's a time to be very interested in the amalgamation of power that is happening in tech companies, in media, and in terms of what our little gadgets are being used for, how maybe ICE is trying to surveil us through our social media apps, how certain media companies are trying to buy up all of the ways in which we get our news. Certain billionaires, I should say, are buying up all the ways in which we get our news so that it's not really news anymore, even if it ever was. I'm not quite sure. But we are becoming narrower and narrower, or the ways in which we receive information, i.e. the technology that we engage with, is being owned by fewer and fewer people. This will also, I believe, this is just my personal opinion, this will also lead to a backlash or lead to a different way in which we on the other side, we the majority, organize and share information. So we're just in this obviously pressure cooker of a moment. Everything is extreme in this moment at this juncture of the world's history, of our human history. The amassing of power and wealth and dominance keeps growing. And I think that that awakens within us the equal and opposite reaction of taking back our power. Again, I am not saying that the toll on us as humans isn't massive. And it's not like I think it's all worth it. I just think that as Pluto stations direct in Aquarius, this is a week for an uprising, a swell, a remembering of our collective power and our coming together and our pouring out onto the streets. Not only that, but also on Monday, Venus, the planet of justice, the planet of seeking fairness and of equality, moves back into the sign of the scales, moves back into Libra. So here Venus is at home, and here Venus is the most justice-oriented it ever is in terms of its placement in different signs. Venus in Libra is here to say what is equal, what is unequal, what is in balance, what is out of balance. You and I can't have a real relationship if there is a power differential. That is not a true relationship. That is not a relationship of equals. The only way I know that you really feel a certain way about me is if we're coming to each other on equal footing. If I have more power than you, I'll never know how you really feel about me. If you have more power than me, you'll probably never really know how I truly feel about you, because there'll always be something in me that's hedging my bets that needs to survive. So Venus in Libra, especially at the beginning of Libra, is really weighing everything. And so as Venus moves into Libra and as Pluto stations direct, it just feels like, oh, this is a week where things start to shift and we really start to focus on what justice might look like in this moment. I say this all the time. I think justice looks different in every moment because it's very specific to the equation that we're working on here and now. And so if you're working through something in your own relationships, if you're in a conversation or if you're in a dynamic that you feel is very unfair, you personally have to weigh all of the reasons why it's unfair and weigh you and them in the dynamic that you're in the situation that you're in the context that you're in. And again, that changes in every relationship. So I really do feel like justice is something that is very specific to the situation, given everything. Obviously, equality is not. Obviously, equality is something that's like, well, this is either equal to this or it isn't. You and I are either equal or we're not. I either see myself equal to you, you equal to me, or I don't. Okay, so we're going to be weighing a lot. We're going to be very interested in what feels like a fair situation, what feels like a good and fair dynamic, what feels like we can move in and out of balance And, balance isn't static. Balance moves. If I'm trying to balance on a tightrope, I have to readjust all the time. I guess that's what I mean about justice being, something that is going to require us to be very engaged with what the situation is here and now. I think we want things to be cut and dry and to be able to apply the same conditions to every problem just to make things easier, and because that's what our fear brain likes to do. But I don't think that that's actually how it works. So we're going to be engaged with these topics. I do just think this week is going to stir a lot socially. Who are we aligned with? How can we engage with the thing we most want to be engaged with together? How do we gather people? How do we move people in a certain direction? How do we canvas for the people that we want to see in office? Because we think that we'll be able to do this struggle thing with them in the best way possible. I'm never going to endorse somebody because I think they're perfect. I'm going to endorse the people I think I have the best chance at having a dialogue with. I'm going to engage the people that I think I'm pretty sure that out of everything, they are going to be the ones that are going to be most receptive to what justice could look like in this moment and to the people that put them in that seat. And they're going to be most accountable to their situation, to their city, to their town, to their place. So this week, that's how it starts. Venus moves into Libra. Venus in Libra is also superpowered. This is a planet that knows how to get compliments. Venus in Libra knows how to be everybody's best friend. Venus in Libra knows exactly what color goes with what situation, what pattern clashing actually works, what the wrong shoe is and how to wear it. Venus in Libra knows how to create harmony, knows how to create relationships, knows how to establish a situation that everybody feels like, ooh, I'm welcome. This is fun. They're my friend. I love this. And Venus in Libra, as soon as it moves into Libra, is going to make an opposition to Neptune on Monday. That means that we'll really be seeking for something idealistic on Monday, which is great. As long as we know we're never going to get there, fine. But it's very romantic. It's very meet cute kind of vibes. And then on Tuesday, Venus goes on to make a very potent trine to Pluto and to Uranus. Venus, a planet that we call a personal planet because it's close to us. It's much closer to the Earth than, say, Uranus and Pluto. This personal planet is contacting on the same day these transpersonal energies, these transpersonal planets. They're all in air signs. Again, this is a signal that this week is going to stir the collective, is going to have us talking about, thinking about, and desiring connection. And the kind of connection that wakes us up. The kind of relationships that become a portal for a transformation, the kind of social interactions that have us thinking in bigger and different and more visionary ways. This is a time to gather with your people, to gather with other humans that are doing the work that you know needs to be done and that you want to be a part of. Do something out of the ordinary. Do something that is a risk. Take a risk. Go somewhere that you wouldn't normally go, but you've always wanted to go to so that you can meet the people that are doing the things that you want to be a part of. This is really, really gorgeous friendship astrology, collective action astrology. This is gorgeous solidarity astrology. This is the kind of astrology that we want to work with in terms of remembering that we are not alone. We have to take actions to remember that. And the more action you take this week, the more friends and friendship and connection is generated. It's just easier this week than it normally is, at least until Sunday. We'll get there. On Thursday, the 16th, we've got a really beautiful Sun square Jupiter. It's very confidence boosting. It's very bolstering. It's really good for our sense of what is possible and our ability to do more than we thought we could or would. And if your birthday falls around this day, it also means that you're getting a bit of a boost in confidence or in likability or in popularity as well. Okay, the down and dirty astrology happens on Sunday. It is a Mercury conjunct Mars. It looks like a fight, but it's not a fight that's out in the open. It's a very subterranean fight. You know, and you're like, I'm not sure if I'm in a disagreement with somebody. I'm not sure if we're fighting. I'm not sure if they like me. I'm not sure if we're ever friends. It's that kind of a vibe. Mars and Mercury meet up in Scorpio, so it's very underground. It's very stealth. It's very good astrology for battle plans. It's very good astrology for knowing when you need to be ruthless and cunning and how to outwit your opponent, how to play chess and not checkers. It is time for us to play chess. And this astrology on Sunday, the 19th, is excellent for that. So anything we're doing over the weekend, I want us to be thinking about, where is this going? What is our ultimate goal? And how do we get there? If we've gathered with a group of people, if this moment has stirred something awake in the collective, great. What are we doing with that collective moment? I have gone to many different types of gatherings, as we all have. And I'm always surprised at the moments when I've been gathered, we've come together collectively, and there's a lot of people power in the room, right? Because there is with any group, and no one asks me to do anything for them. Like, if we've all come together because we care about something, there should be next steps. There should be strategy. There should be a okay, we've done this thing. Great. Here are the next 5 things I need you to do. And I need you to have an accountability partner, and I need you to tell them when you do it, and they will tell you when they do it. And we will encourage ourselves to keep going. We're not going to congratulate ourselves just for showing up here. We're all going to have a job to do. We're going to show up here. We're going to make our mark. We're going to do our thing. We're going to say our thing. We're going to share information. We're going to strategize. And then we're going to have 3 to 5 things that we go away and make sure we do. And then we're going to do that at each of those things. And we're going to do that again and again and again and again and again and again for the rest of our lives. Amen. Do you know what I mean? There's no end to this. If we want to win, and by win, I mean live on this planet in a way that is not about destruction, but is about creation. If we want to win at that, we have to be in the game all the time. We have to be fighting for democracy every single moment of the day. There is no other way. And I think 2025 has proven that. As we said, it's a banner year. We didn't say if that was going to be good or not, though, did we? Maybe banner implies positive. It's a year that changes everything. So may we be changed by it. May we awaken to it. May we heed the call. Sunday is a day to strategize. Do not leave the gathering until you've got your 5 things to do next. And if no one's giving them to you, figure it out for yourself and talk amongst yourselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Gather with a group and be like, okay, get me your numbers. Like, how are we let's get on Signal. Let's do this thing. Let's meet up again in a month or a week or whatever your life allows for you. What are we doing next? Who are we getting elected next? Who are we getting into office? Who are we going to inspire to run for office? How are we doing this? No matter where you are in the world, this is the order of the day. And here we are. We can do this. This week's question is there a way to figure out, astrologically speaking, when we should do something we're afraid of? I love this question. I love all the questions I answer. But this question is interesting because there are going to be times that you are encouraged to do something that you're afraid of, astrologically speaking. I think beyond astrology, it's really important to do things that you're afraid of doing when you feel ready to do it. And often we don't, quote unquote, feel ready, But there's a difference between not feeling ready and being ready, and not feeling ready and not being ready, right? Like, I actually don't want you to do things that you're terrified of doing before you're structurally ready to do it. So it's up to you to discern the difference between those two things. Am I afraid, but can I do it anyways? Like, do I have the capacity? Do I have the bandwidth to handle the blowback, to work through the complications? Do I trust myself enough to say, like, no matter what happens with this, I'm going to be able to figure it out? Or am I so afraid of this thing that I might actually need to work on building myself up a little bit more, like building up my relationship with myself? Because if I don't trust myself to be able to meet the moment, no matter what it is, then I have to start there, right? Like, maybe I have to start smaller. Like, maybe if there's this big thing that you want to do that's really, really scary, amazing. I love that. I really do. Like, I want to do things that I'm afraid of all the time. I do things that I'm afraid of all the time. Sometimes the blowback internally is a lot. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I actually underestimated how powerful that was going to be, or how intense that was going to be for me. And then I have to learn the hard way. So it all depends on that. That's first and foremost. I just want to say that because I don't know what we're talking about when you say things that scare me. Like, sometimes if that's like speaking to somebody that has wronged us, or that we have a really complicated past with, there are times where I've not been ready to do that. And that's okay. I can wait. Those are things that don't have to be done immediately. If it's like going out and trying to get a job, or trying to get some work, or trying to like figure out how to take care of myself, those things are more immediate and I just have to kind of get over it and do it anyways. So depending on what we're talking about. But I definitely would look at Mars transits. And Mars transits are complicated because they can often be really hard. But if Mars is doing something helpful, either in the sky or to your chart, like if Mars is trining your ascendant or trining your sun, or Mars in the sky is trining the Mars in your chart, or Mars in the sky is lending support to your midheaven, your career point, or if Mars in the sky is lending support, like by trine or sextile to your IC, to the base of your chart, and you want to do something, that's difficult or challenging with family, or in terms of an issue about the past, then that could be good. So I would look for sextiles and trines from Mars in the sky in the transit section of the Chani app. Look for, short-term transits, and look under and see, is Mars sextiling, is Mars trining anything in my chart. If you have anything in Aries or in Scorpio and Mars makes a conjunction with that planet, again, it's complicated because Mars can be overheating or overly intense. But because Mars rules those signs, or Capricorn, because Mars has a special relationship with those three signs, Aries, Capricorn, and Scorpio, when Mars is in one of those signs and you have a planet or a point there, you will feel extra power from Mars as it transits over. So again, you'd look in the Chani app under short-term transits and look to see if Mars is making a conjunction to a planet in Scorpio, Aries, and again, I would throw in Capricorn because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So those are times where you might feel extra courage, or extra bold, or extra motivated, or like doing scary things is easier. The other thing you could look for is just generally good astrology, because that will be generally supportive to you. Like a generally supportive Venus-Jupiter aspect will make things easier, which, can sometimes make us lazy. It can sometimes make us also need to just revel in the easy things, which is not being lazy. It's being receptive and getting filled up with what we need. So you might want to do the hard thing with good astrology because it will, float your boat a little bit. It'll help the hard things be a little easier. And then you might notice that you do hard things and you go and look at your astrology and you're like, oh my God, I was under this really extreme transit. And I guess the only thing to do was something hard. Like, this is also complicated, but I wouldn't plan on doing something super difficult under a really difficult piece of astrology. But guess what? Every time there's a really difficult piece of astrology, especially when it lands in my chart personally, I end up doing really, really hard things. So I also know that when the astrology is challenging, it's going to demand that I do something challenging. So on one hand, I don't want to burn myself out. I don't want to add extra weight to the slog of life and to the challenging moment. But if I'm like going through my Saturn return, I'm going to be like, well, this is the time to do something difficult. It is. I tell this story a lot, but when Mars was making a square to Saturn, and I think they were both retrograde, and it was like this, yeah, they were, or at least Mars was retrograde through Aries. And it was in 2020. And it was just like we were in COVID. It was so bad. It was like in September, I believe. And it was just like this gnarly little corner of astrology. And we worked for we were working on the app. It was before the app launched. And we ended up having to like edit and rewrite all these entries that we thought were good to go. And we worked just like solid for 17 days straight. It was just me and Sonia, my wife and business partner, in a room for like 17 days straight, just like reading, writing, editing. And it was like, of course, this is like the hardest astrology, and we're doing one of the hardest things we could do right now in a really, hard global moment. So would I have planned to do that? No. Did I tell everybody at that time not to over plan or, do too much work? Yes, because I knew there would be something. So this is my complicated way of saying, when you're ready to do the hard thing, the astrological signature will be like, yes, this is the hard thing. If you want to look at the astrology and look at when you're supported, I would look at when your sun is supported, right? I named all the Mars things. I would look at when Mars is doing supportive things to you, i.e. a sextile or a trine to especially your sun, your ascendant, your midheaven, your own Mars. Or when you're having a Mars conjunct transit a planet in Scorpio, Aries, or in Capricorn or a point, then you might notice like more energy and more like get up and go and like I'm not afraid of anything kind of vibe. And then I would also look at times that were naturally bolstering to your sense of confidence. So Jupiter making a trine, a sextile, a conjunction, even a square, or maybe even an opposition to your ascendant or your sun or your Mars. I would look for those things that like lift you up and get you going. And I think the most interesting thing to do quite often is to follow your impulses and then look at the astrology afterwards and be like, oh my God, that's what was happening. And then the astrology kind of teaches you. Now, if you're going to launch a business or do something that's like, I've been working really hard at this thing and I want to launch something, that's a different question, because then you do want to have an exceptionally good chart. You want the whole chart, the whole moment to be set up for success long term. So that's another question we could get into at another time if you wanted to. All right, y'all. Sending you lots and lots and lots of love and a lot of reminders of our collective power, because that's what we have to work with right now. Come back next week and we'll talk about the new moon in Libra and how to work with it. Bye for now.